So today's advent calendar is the E75 TS. Now I actually think this is a very good tank. It is going for 9,700 gold, and since I do have some gold I am going to actually purchase this because then it returns the gold, so you get your garage slot and the XP missions for the E75 TS. So as you can see, we got all the crew, and they just go straight to the barracks. As you can see here, they're just sitting in there. And we also get the gold back, so we get 9,400 back, and we gain a garage slot and some ×5 XPs, which is quite nice. For either grinding field mods or just to grind some XPs at it, and then you can convert it. But the E75 TS, is it worth 9,700 gold? It depends. As you know, in my last video, I said this was better than a 50 TP prototype, and I do believe it is. But is it worth 9,700? Well, it depends if you are a heavy tank player. If you want a heavy tank that has decent penetration, isn't too slow, and you can you have kind of good armor, but at the same time, these right here, these little kind of eyeballs on the side like this and this, anything can pen you. Literally anything. Even like tier 6s that you'll meet will be able to pen you in here. And the lower plate is quite troll because it's really well angled. The upper plate is exactly the same thing. And you can side scrape, but you need to be warned about the kind of turret ring exposure. It kind of, as you can see, bows out like here. So you can get penned there. But on the whole, I do really like this tank. As you can see, if we go and put it into comparison and give it some crew skills and whatnot, which doesn't take you that long in premium vehicles, especially to level up your crew. And remember, any premium vehicle that you get, say you're grinding the Tiger 2 or you have an E100, you can just put it straight into this tank. You don't need to retrain. So, vents, rammer, V-stab. It will give you 466 meters view range, and that is with the field mods. So if we remove the field mods, it will give you 433. So the field mods do give it a little bit more. I would go with the all-terrain suspension, and of course the accuracy bonus, so the aiming circle size reduction, with regards to increasing the aim time, and then give it the view range buff. And as I said, with all of these, it comes to 446 meters view range, which is nice. And also you can give it either the mobility or the firepower, depending on what you want to have. Now the gun on this tank is not spectacular by any means, but you do get decent standard pen of 227, and you do get really nice premium pen of 282. And as an added bonus, the APCR rounds do go at 1,375 meters a second. So they are quite fast APCR rounds. The standard rounds go at 1.1, which is honestly more than enough most of the time. That's quite fast for AP. And HE 1.1 as well. They're fast HE rounds. But the gun can kind of be forgiven because the armor is good enough. And the gun is by no means bad. Like, you will hit most of what you're aiming at. And if you do add food on top of this, then you're going to go all the way down to 0.32 dispersion for the accuracy, and you're going up to nearly at 2.5k DPM. This thing weighs 80 tons when you've got it kitted out like this. And considering that it will go at 45 kilometers an hour as well, with not too bad power to weight, you can ram a lot of stuff in this thing. So if you want to try and do a ramming mission, a lot of people don't realize how heavy this actually is. And you could even go and get a turbo, you forgo the vents, and you just stick the rammer back in there, and then you go and use the mobility slot, and then you're going at 50 with 17 power to weight. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun in this tank with ramming things, especially if they're a bit lower tier, because you can just get some speed down a hill and just plow into someone. And as you can see, even without the vents, if you are using food, you're going to get 454 meters view range. If you do not use food, it will go down to 433. So if you're going to use turbo, then yeah, okay, you might want to use food with it. But honestly, view range on heavy tanks doesn't matter too much, because most of the time you're going to be fighting within, you know, like 200 meters or so. So for this build, we will just leave it as the standard, and you know how free-to-play players might play it, because you won't use any food or anything like that, and just standard equipment. Nice. Let's now make one that is more focused towards the mobility, like I just showed you. Okay, so this one is more focused towards mobility without food. This one is with food. So as you can see, yes, you get more view range even if you use vents on the normal setup, let's say, without food. Just shows you how good food actually is. And to be honest, you're going to be earning a lot of credits over Christmas. You might as well just use food on your premium tanks, because food really, really does improve a tank. Massively, honestly. I've been trying to play without food, and honestly, sometimes, because I don't have food, I miss out on damage and shots and stuff like that, where if I just use food, I'd probably earn more credits. In fact, I do earn more credits if I use food, even though that I'm spending 20k resupplying every game. Another thing that you can do is use the HP boost, and then you'll get 1,700 hit points, which is super, super nice. And obviously it's going to boost up your suspension as well. And because you do get the firepower slot, it's going to be quite nice because you can just put your rammer in there. And again, it's going to be exactly the same stats as the turbo is. So you could go for kind of two configurations, one for more open maps where you're going to need that turbo, and then one for maybe like Himmelsdorf, for example, where you could use the HP boost. So you could swap them out once you've obviously got all the field mods. And then finally, what it will look like with full bounty. This is roughly what you're going to get, 470 meters view range. You could even go and remove this and go down to 456, and then you don't get the extra stun, but honestly, the more view range is worth it in my opinion. 2.5k DPM, 0.32 accuracy, pretty nice. It's pretty nice, and it's kind of the sweet spot for for the average damage. 360 average damage is nice because it's not where it's so high that you need to kind of balance it via a longer reload, and it's not too short where you're not really going to get as much damage. So I would say the reload time and then the alpha damage combined is really, really nice. So yeah, there are some setups. Hopefully you can find one that kind of suits you. I wouldn't recommend removing the V-stab, and definitely do not remove the rammer, because there are very few tanks in the game that require you or have the ability to remove the rammer for another piece of equipment. At least in my opinion. So the E75 TS, do I recommend it? Yes, even though that it's expensive, I would say it's worth it. If you're looking for a solid like credit maker at tier 8, that doesn't really worry too much even when meeting tier 10s, because the armor's good enough. It's definitely not like, you know, chieftain armor where you can just go out in front of everyone and go hold down and then, you know, they can only pen you a cupola. Like, there are other spots that they can pen, especially when you're in higher tier. But I think that it is a very, very solid credit maker. Is it better than the Lerva? I would say it's more well-rounded than the Lerva. Especially the fact that it goes faster. Like, the speed is really, really good, especially in these kind of 3-minute games that we're getting recently. So I'd say it's worth it. If you're looking for a nice tier 8 heavy, then I think you should pick this up. People have been asking me what tanks are actually worth it in the upcoming days if they were there. The main ones, I would say, are the 703-2, because that was on sale last year for was it last year for real money? I think so. It was in one of the years it was in there for real money. And it was the last kind of day, so it lasted a full week or something. But yeah, the E75 TS, the 703-2, both of these, you can't go far wrong. You can't really go wrong with either of them. So I'd say they're worth it. But is it worth it to pick up the E75 TS now, or wait and gamble your chances that there might be a 703-2 in one of these? I don't know. It's your money. It's your decision. The 703-2 is better, I will say. But the E75 TS is a good option. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.